have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan, named the System Alderaan.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blast force coming up on Alderaan.
You may fire when ready.
Welcome to Alderaan Explosion, the Explosion Network's official countdown to Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It's 70 days until release. My name is Dylan Blight, your Jedi Master, and joining me, my Padawans, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan, excited to be here to talk about the movie that killed all Star Wars movies. Or Star Wars spin-offs.
Wow. And Kieran Marchant.
Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk about Star Wars and enjoy a good movie, installment, or story of this franchise.
Very good. I was like, do you want to come back to that, Ash?
Ash,
I mean, it's not true.
What's going on here, buddy?
I listened back to our episode when we talked about this last time.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, just get a gauge. And we're going, man, it's going to be so exciting when we get this Boba Fett movie, and we're definitely going to get this Obi-Wan movie next year. They're just going to announce it any time, and then 12 months later, they just killed off all the spin-offs.
Yeah, but we're getting an Obi-Wan TV show.
And we're getting a Mandalorian TV show? Like, it's almost better than we're getting TV shows.
I mean, it's better for us, but, you know, it's a consolation prize.
I should say, in case got so lost in the whole talking about the internet shitstorm that is Solo killed all the Star Wars, blah blah blah. We're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story this week. that's the movie we're discussing this week's episode. Which, yeah, as Ash, as we're just mentioning, then of course the previous season 2 of Alderaan Explosion was 3 episodes. 3, right? Was it 4?
It was
4.
It was 3.
No, it was 4, wasn't it? Was it like 3 to lead up, and then was it?
I thought it was 2 lead up and then
that makes
Solo.
sense.
Fucking 3 lead up would have been a bit much, I think.
You could have done it though. We would have talked about Clone Wars for like probably 2 hours of one.
Could have pulled something out of my ass for an extra episode.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure.
could have done it.
Yeah, so that was the last movie we talked about. Yeah, so I'm interested now because you did listen back. Was there any other funny tidbits or anything that come up? Or... No,
we all generally liked it.
You've got to sell the podcast so people go back.
I mean, you should just go back and listen to our review discussion of
Dylan,
Solo.
is Ashley Hobley the Sith temple to the Jedi temple that is Alderaan Explosion? He's just the darkness that is slowly corrupting it and bringing in the internet memes and trolls.
I mean, I can't wait till we get to The Last Jedi. And it's like, now this week we're here to talk about the other movie that killed the Star Wars franchise.
Hey, I'm just saying, prior to Last Jedi and Solo, no other producer had been brought on to do any Star Wars movies.
Wow.
Now there has been.
Wow. Wow. We're not going to discuss that this week, but so let's jump into it. So Solo, a Star Wars story. Of course, as we do every episode, when was the last time you watched it, and how do you feel about it comparatively with the most recent watch? Ash, you go first.
I watched it day of release in cinemas. I think I liked
watched it since.
Yeah, I hadn't watched it since we saw it for the show. I feel like maybe I liked it a bit less. Obviously, not being in the cinema and having that rush of enjoyment of being there, like experiencing it all for the first time, just seeing like different elements to it. But I think overall it's still a solid, good. It's better than prequels for sure. Movie. So yeah, Solo. I enjoy Alden Ehrenreich. It's been like a year and a half since
Alden
his name.
Ehrenreich, I think is
yeah.
Ehrenreich or something like that. I think is how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good, and Chewie's great, and solid movie. Donald Glover's really good. We'll talk about him later. So, yeah, Solo.
Karen.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I haven't seen it since release, and I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it a lot at release and defended it a fair bit. And watching again, there is definitely several moments where I cringe at what's happened throughout the movie, of just different ways they use to explain different things. But
examples in particular,
like Han Solo, his name,
okay.
that super just makes me go yuck. Like just yuck. And I don't know why. I really don't like the there's something about all of the Wookiees in the mining planet that I really don't love, and I don't know why. Like, there's just, I don't know if they just look weird or it was just something.
I think what was happening is, as a form of torture, they would shave their faces.
Yeah. If that came out as the true thing, I'd be acceptable of it. But other than that, so it's a solid movie. It's a fairly good movie. I actually don't hate on the actor's portrayal of Han Solo. I think the movie does pick up a lot when Donald Glover's on screen, just because of, his acting chops kind of come out, and he really portrays Lando really well. But yeah, it's a solid movie.
Yeah, I was trying to check. I was just double checking on my on track.tv/Viva La Deal. So I'd watched it. Yeah, this was my fourth time watching it. So I watched it release day. I then watched it because I watched it release day. I was in Brisbane. I watched it then, and then I watched it when I got back, like a week later.
Yep.
With my friend down here. And then I watched it once when it released on Blu-ray. So this is my fourth time watching it. So I feel like I've got a good grasp on the movie at this point. But also, I'm like, every Star Wars movie, like, at minimum, I even think like the worst Star Wars movie, I would probably see at least twice in the cinema. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you'd have to. Like, I don't know why. I can't remember the reason why I didn't go a second time for this. But I don't think it's a bad Star Wars movie. I would say there are definitely worse Star Wars movies, in my opinion.
This Solo
Listen
has
back to
an
this season of Alderaan Explosion.
Solo has an interesting thing, I think, happening, because as of recent, like, people have started up this whole like hashtag make Solo 2 happen, and like it's got a really big fan base on internet at this point, which I personally, I'm like, do I need a Solo 2? I'm kind of like, no. There are elements within the movie which I'd like to see brought over, and their stories continued in different things. I don't personally want a Solo 2 though, but I've always been quite happy over the last 6 months or whatever to see this whole make Solo 2 movement happen, because a lot of the time internet movements to do with Star Wars are all about burning people and companies to the ground. So I was like, at least this is a positive one, guys. Like, you're not like fire Ryan Johnson into a cannon and Kathleen Kennedy and whoever else. I was like, okay, very good. We got, at least it's a positive one happening about this. But yeah, I remember when the movie was announced, I was thinking back on it. I'm like, Solo had the weirdest thing, because obviously Solo was fucked because everyone hated Last Jedi. Well, not everyone hated Last Jedi. The vocal minority hated Last Jedi, and then this movie was the one where everyone started turning on Disney and doing the whole like, we're not going to watch this one because you have ruined Star Wars and we're not going to support it. And it's weird how that's kind of like turned around a year later after its release. Now people are like, well, actually, we really like this one now. And I said some mean things back in the day.
I mean, to be fair, Disney screwed the pooch with this one. They released it too soon, too close to the proper chaptered release of Star Wars. And then they didn't market it very well. And then they, of course, had all the behind-the-scenes issues as well.
Do you think these movies should have waited until after they closed up the trilogy? So then this is just something that was later on that just kind of gave us snippets of, like, snippets of Han Solo's life and snippets of different characters. It felt weird that we were going back at a point that didn't have any relation to really anything that was going on in the current storyline, other than Han Solo being freaking Thingamy's dad. Ben
Solo?
Kylo Ren. That's all, sorry, I just had a major brain fart then. That's the only connection to this, but I don't think there was a story point that really, led to that. Like, for me, I think Rogue One was a really good release. And we'll talk about that when it comes out. I think Rogue One did really well where it was. These could have been placed better after the trilogy was done. And away from, let that be encapsulated let that have any bad juju that is attached to it from people, and then come to Han Solo.
I think this type of story is much better suited to something like which they're going to be doing now, which is these Disney Plus TV shows. I think Solo as I think they could have just made this into a 6-episode thing on Disney Plus, and it probably would have been a lot better. Like in retrospective,
I think they wouldn't have had to. At some points, it felt like they were padding out for time, and as if and it wasn't like it was meaningless content, but it was still unneeded content. Like the movie could have been a lot more streamlined. There could have been a lot more in a TV show that is just picking up the major points. I don't want to see anything more from. I don't want a Han Solo 2 or anything, but I would like to see this iteration of Han appear in TV shows and appear throughout different TV shows and moments for Star Wars.
Well, they could definitely make something that's not I don't know. Well, I would be okay with a show where he's a character in it, but not the main focus.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if other people would be okay with that because it's like, it's Han Solo. He has to be the main character. I'd be like, nah.
He's not even the main character of the main movies.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's one of the most loved characters, I guess. But yeah, if I had to pick between this movie, which, as I said, I've watched it 4 times now. My feelings on it are, it's fine. It has a lot of moments that I enjoy and a lot of other moments I'm like, well, whatever. There's heaps of things I'd like to see explored more, but it's just a very this would have worked a lot better. It's like watching a big budget Clone Wars episode. And I'm not trying to say it's anything to do with the Clone Wars, obviously, but I just mean it very much feels like a spin-off type tale, I guess, like a Clone Wars or a Rebels or whatever. It feels like a spin-offy type thing, but then I'm like, I would have just preferred that to have been had its plot and characters spend more time growing and whatever, exploring the characters like Dryden Voss and whatever else more you could have got more time with, and the mob underground stuff and whatever else in a TV show. All right, so as always, I was about to say I wrote, but I write them in the notes app on my iPhone. Notes for the episodes. We'll start going through those.
You're in this life for good.
You might want to buckle up, baby.
Here they come! Let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Since when do you know how to fly?
190 years old? You look great.
My first one was, it's weird they did an opening crawl just without the opening crawl lull, which is that when the movie starts, when you think about it, it comes up with several text title screens. It's like, blah, 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 the world is this, mobsters, something like this, and on Corellia, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it gives you an opening crawl. It's just not actually an opening crawl.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, Rogue One, everyone was like, that movie has a weird opening, which we'll discuss in a couple of weeks, of course, Rogue One. But that was the one part of that movie that even I'm like, it does have weird how it starts and then the Rogue One title card and whatever else. And I would say that Solo opens better, but it's still just just fucking, at this point, I would have been like, just do the crawl. I don't care. Just do the crawl, whatever. If you're just going to put up different title cards, text on the screen, hey?
If you're just going to put up text, you might as well do the crawl.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like, nah.
I guess they said
it's got to be different. It's got to be different.
Yeah.
Only the major ones have open crawls.
Apparently. The opening scene is good for looking at the bigger picture of how kids are growing up across the galaxy under the Empire. So this is something I would like. I wish we kind of got explored more of,
more.
which if you did it as a TV show, you could have had more time to explore, obviously, because it's actually something you don't see at all in the movies apart from this, and it's also something they don't even explore as far as I'm aware or could think of much in extended comics or books or anything like that, which is just general person growing up anywhere in the galaxy under the rule of the thumb of the Empire's reign. Of course, you could be like, yeah, but like that's literally what Rebels is about. And it's like it kind of is. Like that show starts and shows you how the planet of the Thol's like under the Empire's rule, but then it's like straight away the main character, which is Ezra, gets picked up and then indulged into the Resistance or the rebellion, and then next second he's off doing all this other stuff. But what you see at the start of this movie is just Han Solo, Han, nobody, and all these other people. It's just like under the ruling thumb of the Empire, the criminal underworld seems to like rise up as well, and that's an interesting thing. That's the Hutts pick up whatever else. So it's like I would like to see that explored more, and I guess that's kind of what they was going to do at one stage with that whole 1313 thing and whatever else. All these cancelled projects. So maybe one day in the future we'll get something that's more.
Empire was trying to stop crime.
Nah, it was using crime to harbor, crime. I think the Empire itself would have a propaganda phase where it'd be trying to, we're trying to stop crime and make the universe better. But really, it's helping crime and working with crime to continue putting itself in power and making sure the people in lower socioeconomic places can't rise up or can't do anything. It's just another way to control people for them.
Yeah, which is why crime, picks up under their thumb as far as I'm concerned, because they're quite happy to let it happen, especially if the, Empire has lots of corrupt officials, easily brought off, bribed. So that's kind of how I picture it happening all across the galaxy, just lots of people being brought off. And this movie, even when you, they show you that even when you get on Dryden Voss's ship there, when they first get into the top and Han's looking around and he sees all these Empire officials, up there, and you can tell he's kind of looking at them like, the fuck? Like, why are all these dudes here hanging out with this? But yeah, I guess that gives you a picture of the bigger world, but we don't get really much time to explore it. Should have been a TV show.
I wish you'd spent more time there.
Are there taxes in the Star Wars universe?
Definitely.
How does the Empire make its money?
Why? We're not turning this into one of the prequels. We're not turning this into what was the Senate actually doing.
Disney Plus, I want
down. Oh my god!
I want a Veep style Empire TV show. Where you just explain all the political stuff and the day-to-day running of the Empire. Thank you.
Well, they go to planets, they point guns at people, they tell them, sign here and give us 50% of your money, or we'll just shoot ya.
If you want Han to race off in his hover Ferrari, press 1. If you want Han to sit and double-check his taxes, press 2. Ashley picked 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch a show about Star Wars politics as well, but next thing I wrote was Han alone, Han lonely. Like it's just funny to me that when that dude does the whole Han Solo, like there's so many other variations of the word he could have picked.
I mean,
but of course
to be fair, that was the best
but
choice. So, I mean,
not Han
maybe
alone.
he is a wordsmith, a secret wordsmith,
Han alone,
forced to work
this
for the
is
Empire.
Like one of the most annoying answers to any question ever. And I know it's like, it's an answer, but just to have like it be just, it's like how people get annoyed about Rey's parentage being the answer to that question being they were nobody cares, get over it. That it's just, this random dude just called him Han Solo, and that's it. It's like, yeah.
Got him. I gotta be honest, until this movie, I never once thought, why is Han Solo?
I hadn't thought about it, but did it need to be answered then? If nobody
because
asked the question?
They could have literally started this movie and just had him being called Han Solo.
Yeah.
No one would have blinked an eye.
I don't think there was anybody asking the question, is Han Solo a given name or something you've made up? I don't think that was a thing for anybody.
People out there like, okay, where's the rest of his family? Then you're like, well, they got killed. There, that's the story. That all answers off, all questions done. But of course, no, they have to be like, and I don't hate it. It's whatever. It doesn't like make me go, damn you, Disney, you ruined. But I'm just like, it is a bit cringy. Han
it's just
Solo.
Ugh.
Yeah. Next thing I wrote down was the quote, "It's their planet. We're the hostiles," which is actually, I'd say it's like one of my favorite lines and moments of the whole movies, where he's just like giving shit to that whole captain dude, where they're this brief montage you get, of course, of him like being part of the Empire and doing battle on all these planets or whatever, and then it's like, here's the plan, we're just going to go in there, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, they're fighting back. And then Han's like, yeah, of course they are. Like, we're the ones invading the fucking thing. Yeah.
I guess the thing for them as well is it points out that Han never gave in to the Empire's propaganda, whereas a lot of the other captains or soldiers or people that have grown up solely in the Empire now are probably 100% brainwashed to, this is how the Empire is. Why aren't people rolling out red carpets when the Empire arrives at their planets and asking them to take over?
Yeah, and it definitely gives you, like, using Han as the character in this moment. It's like the first time in the movies, other than Finn, which is a bit different because that's like a First Order thing and this is the Empire days. But it's like the first time any character in the movies from the Empire side of stuff, you see that it's just like Han. There could be other people like Han out there, you know? They sign up because they need a job or they need a reason to escape their planet or whatever. To be like, yeah, when they blow up the Death Star, were all the people bad? They all need to die. You know, Han could have beaten on that for all we know. BL champ, I guess. All right, I wish we got more of this Beckett team still. They all make a good team together and was cast really well. So that was like one of the, I think that's probably still my most disappointing thing. And once again, it's like, should have been a TV show. When they, of course, announced the movie and all these characters, and, you know, if you go listen to those episode 1 of last season when we're talking about all the characters that were announced for Solo prior to going into the movie, I was really looking forward to it because I thought all of them looked cool. I enjoyed the cast. I like how there was some alien, you know, you got the Jon Favreau voiced alien thing. Woody Harrelson as like a cowboy. Han's like semi-inspiration father
Woody Harrelson
or whatever.
Playing the same role he's played in pretty much everything, but...
Yeah, but in Star Wars, it was like perfect. He's so good. He's so good as Beckett. It's just like, it's perfect for him.
Yeah.
Thandie Newton, enjoyed her. Like, the whole thing is, I enjoyed the team. I would have liked to have seen more of them.
Yeah,
but
it would have been good if they'd run a couple of jobs, you know? Because then you could believe that Han becomes a good smuggler and does actually learn something. And that Woody Harrelson's character was an actual mentor.
Yeah, that's the thing where, for the build-up for this movie, I remember being like, oh, we're going to see a mentor-pupil relationship between Han and Beckett. This is going to be really cool. I'm going to be really interested to see how Han learns and how Han cuts his teeth. And, oh, that's it, eh? Oh.
They did 2 missions, and then he kills him.
Yeah, it's just,
Like, it kind of goes... Sometimes, if you just don't have the time, which you might not always in movies because other things are more important, there's one of those times where I'm like, just even a 1-minute montage would have gone so far to kind of sell the audience of, like, look, Han's been with this crew for this long. Look at all the things they've been doing. You know what I mean? And then when you cut to the mission that it cuts to, the one that they go do, that all goes haywire and they all end up dying, it would have added a little bit more weight to it. Like, you would have known they'd been around for some time. You would have had, like, known that him and Beckett have been working together for however long. You know what I mean? Just,
the other 2 deaths would have been more impactful as well.
Exactly.
And it would give Han a character arc in the point of, this is why he has such a small inner circle as a smuggler, is just because he tried it once and it got really fucked up and everybody died. So he's just been kind of like, fuck it, me and Chewie, that's fine. I don't like big teams. It's just, it would put a lot of effort into continuing to build Han's character.
Yeah, because I understand, like, the whole thing is that when they're there, when he first meets them, it's because Beckett is trying to steal a certain type of ship they need for the job. But I'm sure you could write around all of this, have them go do that job, succeed, montage, like, make that a quick job. I don't know. Like, there's ways to write around this. So
there's other stuff in the movie that could be removed to allow time for this stuff.
Yeah. So I wonder why they even had Chewie here, just as slave labor. I don't think that's something I ever considered the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, because it was all the shock factor of Chewie, like, oh, this is how him and Han meet and all these sorts of things. But watching it this time, I'm like, why'd they even have him there? Because I'm assuming it is just for slave labor purposes. But I'm like, are they other Wookiees there? But surely not, because if there was, then Chewie wouldn't have left without saving them. You know what I mean? So they've got one Wookiee as...
He doesn't look like he's in a position to be a slave, though. Like, just because of the place that he's in, like, it looks like he's just more of a captive than he is as slave labor. Because but anybody's, I don't know, he just doesn't seem like... He seems too risky to send people in. Like, he's going to kill somebody before they get him under control to do something.
Yeah, so then it's like, why is he there?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Disney Plus, give us the Chewie prequel movie.
Series,
yeah. Just subtitled.
Yeah, the Chewie movie. The sequel. The series. Yeah, so I was like, I mean, do I need to really know? No, but it's just one of those things I was thinking this time. Like, why is he even there? It's a bit weird. Dryden is a scary kind of dude. Introduced killing a guy, scarred up face. I like him. And that's Paul Bettany is really good as this evil motherfucker, I think.
I think he is my favorite single bad character or evil character from the quote-unquote Disney generation of movies.
You reckon you like him more than like Kylo Ren or anything?
Yeah, because I think Kylo Ren has had good moments, but then he's also had other moments where I'm like, this is really shit. Like, but like as a character as a whole, I just like Dryden because he feels new. Like he feels like something that hasn't, like, in at least the movie sense. Yes, there are characters in Clone Wars like him, but in the movie sense, I think he explores new kind of substance and embodies a new way of being a bad guy for the whole franchise. That's the word.
Yeah, that's a word. I really enjoy him. I kind of get what you mean. Like, he's not a false bad guy or like a Imperial bad guy. He's not
an Imperial bad guy, and I actually feel like he could kill the main character. There's a lot of the other mobsters, like the Hutts and stuff, where I don't feel that sense of they're going to kill the main character. I just feel like...
They'll get their goons to kill the main character.
They'll get their goons to kill the main character, or it's just going to be hokey-cokey James Bond style. We're going to put them in a
slowly.
Yeah, we're going to put you in a situation that you can clearly get out of. Like, Dryden doesn't give me that sense of...
We're going to drop you into a Rancor pit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Dryden's like, no, he's just going to fuck you up himself. Like... He's just unhinged himself, which I really like for Star Wars.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like the whole, especially after they have the whole meeting, and then when they're all getting up to walk away eventually, and it's just like, if you fail this time, I'll have to kill you. Like, I'll have to kill you. Yeah. And like that first scene we introduced to him, where he's just like straight away the first time you ever see him on screen, it cuts to that shot and he's just like slitting that dude's throat or whatever. It's just like the camera cuts him right after he's like finished slicing or whatever, and then it like tells the other person, like puts it down the tray or whatever, and he's like, take it to my office. I might need this later. It's like, oh, why? Why would you need that later? You're about to speak to Beckett. oh, I understand. So he's really, really good. So when they walk into the Dryden Voss's ship thing or whatever they call it, don't remember the official name.
It's a yacht.
I wrote down the yacht thing. I wrote down the imp thing on the table looks like something out of a Harry Potter movie. I don't know if I'd ever noticed this before. At one shot time, they cut to this little weird monster thing on the table, well, creature thing on the table, and it looks like something out of fucking Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I'm like, okay. And there's like a clear line between like a Star Wars looking monster to me and like a Harry Potter creature. Yep. And this thing definitely felt more like a Harry Potter creature type thing happening. Yeah. Chewie gets these 2 drinks and then he's like, fuck you then, Han. Has both of them. This is also something I don't think I'd noticed before, which is when like Chewie sends off, Han's like, yeah, go do what you want to do. And then of course Han goes off and he bumps into
Qi'ra.
and they have their whole conversation, and it cuts that shot of Chewie where he's like looking over at them. I think everyone, weirdly, when I watched it before, I thought he kind of just shrugged or whatever. I never realized that he actually has 2 drinks in his hands, and he like looks over and sees that Han's talking, and he's like, I have both then. There's some subtle like Chewie humor in this that I quite enjoy. Dryden just collecting Mandalorian armor, or he has it from Maul's connection to Mandalore, or is it connected to the Mandalorian?
I'd like to just let everybody know, because you can't see our notes. This sentence is written the exact same way that he just spoke that. There is a lot of or, and
there's
then
a lot of
the last
R's.
sentence R's, and then it goes into capitals, and then it's just so you know, we fully it's just don't.
It's how I wrote the
No,
notes,
I
really.
don't think it's. I think it's
think it
just
has any
collecting
collection.
Mandalorian armor. I mean, Mandalorian armor's cool, so
Yep.
I think the second part makes sense. Like, Maul has connections to Mandalore and shit.
Yeah, I think that
That would make sense. I think the
that
last
would make
sentence was a little bit
yeah, I know.
overblown
I
there.
kind of got myself going, and then
Yep,
it's
you
like,
did.
tinfoil hats on. Mandalore set, I don't know, fucking 20 years after this or something. I don't know, but it's connected. Hey, Clone Wars again. They set up these crime syndicates with the Pikes and so on in that show. So this is my little plug for the Clone Wars on this week's episode.
Gotta fit it in.
Because there always has to be one. If you'd like to know more about the crime syndicates of the galaxy and each, I think there's like 6 or something like that. They're all kind of introduced and have little parts in the later seasons of the Clone Wars. Especially the Pikes. The Pikes have an entire arc about them actually at one stage, I think. So there's your little Clone Wars plug for this week. How good is Gonald?
Donald
How good?
Glover. Donald Glover, everyone.
How good is Donald Glover? Imagine being as talented as this man.
I wish this was my last recollection of Lando Calrissian. Like, I really wish, like, I kind of dislike that we're going to see Lando in episode 9, because I have a really weird feeling that he's not going to feel like Lando in episode 9.
That's an interesting thing, because that would mean that, because I think people fall on either one side of the table or the other. Like, you really enjoyed Donald Glover as Lando, or there's other people who are just like, no, he's not Lando. He just looks like a cosplayer. Pretend, you know what I mean? Like, not sold.
I think he didn't look like somebody wearing a costume. Like, he owned that shit. Like, he just kind of, for me, I watched that character and I'm like, yeah, that's Lando. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, I have no trouble with. He is Lando to me in this. Whereas the old Ehrenreich thing as Han Solo, I'm like, it's fine, but I never like feel like he's truly embodying that character. Whereas Donald Glover as Lando is like, that's just he is that character. Like, he just does it so well. So Jesus, jumping off point for this topic then. So how much of his style and characterization from this movie do you think that audiences will see in episode 9 with Lando? And how much of Solo do you think would be necessary to understand Lando, if at all, in that movie? And the only reason I'm saying that, because people may be like, oh, but Dylan, surely you won't need to have seen Solo, because obviously episode 9 set after, the original trilogy, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I'm saying it this way is because Solo is the most recent Star Wars movie, and we've already seen that the costume he has in the trailer is the Solo costume. We know he's going to be wearing that. And then also, I wouldn't be surprised if the way they write Solo, maybe they got told to write him a little bit more like the way audiences might remember him from this compared to Return of the Jedi. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel about it,
Yeah.
Ash?
I think he'll definitely be a more positive, charming sort of character. Obviously, he won't have turned Oh, it'll be ages since he turned on anybody, but yeah, I think it'll be cool to see it since. I think I'll be interested to see how, when he's sitting in the Millennium Falcon, whether he refers to it as a feminine, in a feminine way.
It's things like that where it's like,
a slide.
If people skip this movie, it's like, whoa, you're missing the good little trivias, little Easter eggs.
I'd really like him to go into a room and find a bunch of capes just sitting like on the floor, balled up or something. Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of capes.
Fine by me.
Dylan would wear capes if he could.
Yes. Capes cool. How do you feel about it, Kieran?
I'm a little worried just because of how old is I can't even remember the actor's name now.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams. He's old. Like he's getting he's probably the eldest of the people who have returned so far.
He's currently 82 years old.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay seeing Lando as slightly decrepit in some way, or just not,
Wow.
I know it sucks.
You'll be there one day, Kieran.
I will be, and I hope somebody pushes me down some stairs.
Oh my god!
But I hope they do have callbacks to this movie, because I think if they don't have callbacks to this movie, Disney has just pushed Solo out to die. It's almost like they've accepted that Solo bombed and was a failure, and they're just going to ignore that it happened, which I don't think they should do. I don't think they should do that at all. In my opinion.
No, I'm on the side that I think there'll be references, like the thing Ash said, or whatever else. I definitely feel like just because Solo was more recent in audiences' minds, because not everyone goes back and rewatches all of the movies prior to release, that's just more of the hardcore Star Wars fan type thing to do. General audiences are probably just going to go watch it because it's just the blockbuster of the year. It's Star Wars. Yes, let's watch it. The last time they saw Star Wars probably was Solo, so it's like it would make sense for the character to feel more like the last time they saw the character, not just assume that everyone's gone back and watched a movie from fucking the 80s, All right. L3 says, you couldn't get from here to Black Spire without me, as they're leaving the place they pick up Lando, wherever that is, some fucking casino thing, whatever it is. Which I never paid any attention to last time we watched the movie, but now that name is quite big to do with Star Wars, Black Spire, because it is everything to do with Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars theme park that has opened this year. So thought that was a good jumping off point to discuss the theme park a little bit. Have we kept up with the park at all? What do you think about it? What do you think about their whole marketing tie-in? Or have you just been ignoring everything about it because you're like, I'm never going to go, so fucking who cares anyway? Ash.
No, I haven't kept up with any of the marketing. I mean, it's cool that there's clearly some sort of tie-in, but I mean, it's so far away. I'm not going to Disneyland anytime soon, except if you head over to kofi.com/explosion.
Oh my god.
We'll do another season of Alderaan Explosion if you send us to Disney World. Or Land, whichever one it is. Land.
Doesn't even know where he wants to go, and he's asking for fucking $10,000 donations.
Isn't that how it all works, though?
I mean, okay. Kieran?
All right, let me fix the warp drive on this ship right now. I haven't kept up with anything too much on the marketing side of things. Of course, I've seen just through social media of people that I've followed, of people taking pictures at the Millennium Falcon and just taking pictures in Galaxy's Edge, and everybody just getting their lightsabers and everything. I haven't seen heaps. It's something, if I was going there, I'd probably read up more about it and look into it a lot more. But if they're, and I'm presuming just based on the fact, if they're putting in more content in their comic books, movies that talks about Galaxy's Edge or talks about the different things that featured in Galaxy's Edge, good, more power to you, Disney. Good job being subliminal messaging and shit.
Yeah, so it was like, for people, well, actually, I kind of assume maybe not a lot of people know, but so I was trying to find like a just brief description for the theme park that I could read for people who haven't been keeping up at all, or maybe people have no idea that a fucking Star Wars theme park even opened this year. But I'll just go over the Wikipedia because it's the best I can find. So the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is a theme area inspired by the Star Wars franchise, located within Disneyland Park, a Disneyland resort in Anaheim, California, and Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando.
I mean, I was right both times.
Hey?
Fuck,
both.
you were right.
Jesus Christ. The area encompasses 14 acres, blah, blah, blah. At each part. Galaxy's Edge is set within the village of Black Spire Outpost on the wild frontier planet of Batuu. It features attractions, shops, restaurants, and entertainment offerings. So instead of the thing with Galaxy's Edge as a theme park, because, and this is a point of contention, I've seen people on the internet kind of like either hate it or love it, you know, of course, with anything to do with Star Wars or the internet. Instead of making like a theme park that's like, here's like the Jakku section and here's like the fucking Tatooine section, you know, they're very similar. They've got sand, but they're different, you know, like here's the Endor section, you know what I mean? Like instead of like putting up heaps of like famous areas from all the movies, what they've done is they've set the theme park in a set period of time and place and setting. So what that means is that Galaxy's Edge, I think the official description is like it takes place after episode 8, I think, like timeline wise, or just before or something. Anyway, it's around that time.
Story events are set between the films of Episode S, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, there we go. So it's just like just after Last of Jedi. So what that means is that everyone that's in the park and like everything that you see walking around and like First Order troopers and whatever else, all these sorts of things. So it's very much set during current gen Star Wars, which then of course pisses off a lot of people because there's a lot of people out there who of course hate the Disney era of Star Wars movies and they're annoyed that they don't get, you know, old school stormtroopers and
Terrible.
You know all these
Why
all
they
these
would
other
go
things.
to Disneyland or Disney World if they hate the Disney era?
Yeah, well, and then the other thing they've done is because it's set during a key period of time and a place within the canon like Star Wars universe and time, which means that they've so far released two novels that are tied into the theme park and have stories set around what's happening. And what that means is that you can read those books, discover certain characters that are inside those books, these novels, and then you'll be able to walk around the theme park and you'll see like, you know, paid people dressed up as these characters and they're walking around. And then of course you may be like, oh, that's that character from the book that I was reading. You know what I mean? Like it means like anything Star Wars, the more you put into it, the more you're going to kind of get out of it. Like the more you'll recognize and the more you'll notice and the more you'll see. And then other things like, and that's what I'm saying, like they've obviously been building to this whole Galaxy's Edge thing for years and years and years of planning and whatever else. But then it also means that when I'm rewatching something like Solo and I hear them say Black Spire, that it now, my brain, this rewatch was like, oh, the theme park. Right. Okay. So they have over the years put subtle mentioning in that is now only just triggering in my brain hole. Whereas obviously the first time I was watching it, I was like, Black Spire would have just gone like, never heard of it, whatever.
Do you think that, and this would be really cool, and I would be very impressed with it if they did, if a point after Episode 9 comes out and after it's more widely watched and maybe once the Blu-ray's released, do they advance the time period of Galaxy's Edge?
I'm going to say no, because I think the thing is if you're falling onto the whole like Kylo Ren being redeemed, if you're on that side of what's probably going to happen, it means that because they have the theme park set during a current time and frozen in it, it means they're able to have Kylo Ren walk around being a bad guy and whatever else. Whereas if it's set like after Episode 9, then all of a sudden people want Kylo Ren to walk around as a good guy, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
They get to stick it in certain thing and not worry about other things and whatever else. So maybe years from now they update it, they add to it, you know.
Maybe they have like a
the
special
next
like
thing.
one day event that like takes place at like a crucial part of Episode 9. Like it'll be,
They could do something like that, I guess.
that'd be really cool.
for one day, but I guess the general day-to-day usage, like, you know, 'cause there's a thing coming out to Disney Plus. Do you remember the name of it, Ash? The whole remember there's that documentary coming to Disney Plus where it's like about the actors at theme parks or whatever. I can't remember the fucking name
A
of it.
Day in the Life or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Because I'm really interested in that, because these people that are at these theme parks, be it this one or you're over Disneyland's and the Harry Potter World and what have you, like they're basically actors, because they you know, they dress up in a costume, they play a role, they walk around and they have to interact with people and stay in character and whatever else. So I find it really interesting. So it's like, I remember I was reading something about the people that hired for jobs at Galaxy's Edge, and it's like they have to remember they had to basically audition like it was a TV job, you know, like read lines and whatever else. And so it's quite interesting, I think, that people, and it's just something I guess most people don't think about, because you're like theme parks, rides, corn dogs, like merchandise. It's also something, by the way, if you are thinking about going, or donating to a Ko-fi to get Ash there, I've read that like the lights, it's like if you're going to pay the money to go there, be prepared to also have a chunk of change ready to spend there, because your tickets to get in is one thing, and then I think the lightsabers are like several hundreds of like $200 or something to do. Like that's not covered. You have to pay for that as well, and it's like build your fucking droid. That's another like $100 or whatever. It's like
I think there's like a $5,000 droid you can buy, something like that.
Probably wouldn't surprise me. This thing's a money making machine.
Your collector's soft drink.
Yep, obviously.
That you can't get through customs.
You know what I would find amazing if, you know, in the hypothetical world that we raise the money to be possible to go to Galaxy's Edge, and the person we send is Ash. That would be, that'd be so funny.
I just want to clarify something. If anyone donates $10,000 to our Ko-fi, I'll most likely use it for anything but to send Ash to Galaxy's Edge.
No, just make sure you use that in the description.
Just be like, this is, I've been...
I'm like, all the things I could do with $10,000, buy a studio, buy everyone new gear, you know what I mean? Like, no, let's send Ash to Galaxy's Edge.
Ash to Galaxy's Edge.
I don't understand why you're so against this.
Because I can't go.
Oh, it would be so funny though, just to see Dylan have to cope with Ash talking about Galaxy's Edge, or like in the webcam shot that we see of Ash while we're recording, he just like gets the lightsaber hung up or whatever on the back wall, so Dylan always has to see it. Or that'd be so good. It'd be so good.
I don't get, not to go too much of a tangent of this theme park, because of course when it came out I was watching heaps of YouTube videos from people who went there. The fucking lightsabers are really cool. Like they have a compartment in them, and you can buy, of course, to buy separately you got to buy each different crystal separately, so you can get like a green crystal, a purple crystal, clear crystal, what have you. They all cost extra money, but they all make their own sounds. So like you can open up the little compartment in the lightsaber and you can slide in a different crystal, and then they'll make its own like different sound by the color, and then of course you see the lightsaber like light up, and they're way better quality than the ones you'll buy for $100 at Kmart or what have you. Like it's really bright and just neon and whatever. They're really cool. You can send Ash to get me a lightsaber at kofi.com/explain.
And if you donate $20,000, I will go with Ash.
Yeah, that would be good. Kieran will come with me. That seems responsible.
All right. Should continue on here. We're fucking talking about galaxies. I'll continue fanboying over there. I really enjoyed the castle run scene. It's like crazy Star Wars fantasy stuff, and I eat it up. I think as far as like in the movies, it is like one of the most batshit nonsense, like kind of crazy fantasy things in the Star Wars movies. I think like they basically go into this netherworld region of space that you don't see in any of the other movies. They bump into this humongous creature in space that you've never seen anything like that in the movies before. You've seen something inside an asteroid or whatever, of course, and big underground sea creatures or whatever, but this is like a fucking demon from another dimension, and they're talking like black holes and whatever else. And also that shot, like visually, this Kessel Run scene is probably the most visually interesting stuff to watch in the whole movie. I also find like there's that one shot really wide shot or whatever, where the Falcon's like this kind of speck, and you just see the black hole and everything that's happening. It's probably my favorite imagery within the movie is all from this stuff here. So I enjoy watching the Kessel Run. It's fun. I remember watching it in the theater as well, and I was just like, yes,
I just enjoyed watching it in the theater and then feeling the collective energy of people around me, their brain trying to comprehend that a parsec isn't a measurement of time, it's a measurement of distance.
Yeah.
Just like so many people just breaking their brains over something they'd thought about for this whole, for possibly 30 years of their life is just completely different. It's not what they thought.
And, that's everyone's fault because they just assumed it was a measurement of time, not distance. So,
well, it's got sec in it. What would it be?
Oh, the galaxy far, far away.
I mean, I enjoy that they solved their problem by just adding nitrous.
Yep.
The nitrous.
I love that. As a Fast and Furious fan, I tell you what.
If they don't do that in Fast and Furious 10,
Final Fantasy 10.
Yeah, when Vin Diesel goes to space, they'll be getting Ron Howard.
I'm surprised Vin Diesel
direct.
I'm surprised Vin Diesel just didn't appear in in the cockpit of the Falcon as they're like flying off and be like, now this is family, just.
It's about family. I want more Ethan's nest. I like seeing different parts of rebellion spring up. So
for the second time, I feel like I'm like, is this an important person in the history of Star Wars? And the answer again is no.
No, like it's just
just the reveal, the way they reveal it. You get the impression it's someone important.
This is just one of the subplots that I'm like, this didn't need to be here in this fashion. Like, they're kids. What? Holy crap! And you're like, oh, okay. Well,
I like it because it's an overall like thematic thing they've had going on. Because you got to remember Solo's being like written and whatever workshopped at the same time, like Rebels is happening and whatever else. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's just like an overall thematic theme thing that they were doing at the same time at this time at Lucas, because it's like Rebels, we're showing you how like this group of people managed to start a rebellion, and over here we've got like Ethan's Nest. They're like starting Saw Gerrera and his Partisians. How do we say it? Fucking hell. They're like starting up their own rebellion. Like they had this whole theme going on for a period of time of being like, it's not just like one day someone stands on top of a podium. They're like, we're starting a rebellion, and that's how you get to A New Hope, where everyone is like. They kind of, throughout different movies and TV shows and books and comics, introduced you to the idea of like, it wasn't just an overnight thing of this big group of people getting together. It was literally all these people over the galaxy kind of starting,
joining
all these different guerrilla groups, which then eventually leads to the rebellion.
That's
that
why
we
it's
know.
called the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, it's because they align. Yeah, so I think in the bigger picture, like scheme of things, I like how they had this. I think when you don't think about that, or you don't like take that into account, or you haven't watched other things for that to be like a possibility to tick into your brain. And even the first time watching this, I was like, who is that? Am I supposed to know who this character is? Yeah. It's just, and that's just a thing that comes down to the way it's shot and edited. You shoot that scene differently, you edit that scene differently, it solves that problem. It's not the fact that the characters in the movie at all. It's just simply that shot, because it cuts this close up, she takes off the helmet, and then it hangs. And then as an audience, you're like, are we supposed to like, whoa, it leaves it like a, whoa, I can't believe that's so-and-so moment. So I think that's an editing thing more so than like just having the character in the movie thing, I think there's the power of editing.
It should have been Obi-Wan the entire time.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That would have been
but yeah, no, and they haven't popped up in anything else yet. I, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they have, unless they've popped up in like one of the random Disney shorts or something like that. But as a character, as a group, I'd be keen to see more, find out how they got from where they go to where they end up. And the other thing is, well, actually, I've got the note up here in a minute, so we'll get back to it. But the next thing I wrote down is one of my favorite shots in the whole movie is where Qi'ra swings around on the floor and blocks Dryden. Then, of course, the following mole scene. There has been rumors of a TV show spin-off focusing on her or at least the underground faction stuff, how would we feel about a Qi'ra spin-off, or like even if it's not called Qi'ra, but like whatever Crimson Dawn series starring Emilia Clarke type thing? Would that be a Disney Plus show that you would be interested in watching, Ash?
Yeah, Emilia Clarke is obviously a great actress. I'd be intrigued to see where she goes from here. I mean, how bad does she get, I guess? How dark down the Crimson Dawn path does she go? How far away from Han does she get? I mean, it'd be interesting to see, at the very least. Is she Rey's mother?
Oh my god. That was a thing. That was a thing before this release as well. As fucking Kieran, would you watch it?
I'd be really excited about it just because I feel like having this movie and having where this movie ends gets rid of a lot of the slowness that could have possibly been in the season 1, because you would think if this was just a show without this movie, the season 1 would be her getting up over Dryden and proving herself a little bit, where now this show can just start from a running position. It can just go from her already being enveloped and kind of somewhat proven in the faction itself.
Episode 1, she's meeting up with Maul.
Whoa. That's
where she leaves here. She goes to meet Maul. You start the TV series of her meeting with Maul, and then you get to see her rise through the ranks and run Crimson Dawn.
It's not a bad thought.
No, well, there have been rumors around a Qi'ra spin-off of some sort. What exactly that would be, don't know. But
I mean, her schedule's opened up. You'd be crazy not to utilize her if you've got her on contract, to be fair.
That is true. That is very true. So then I said, Warwick Davis plays all these characters in Star Wars, but his one returning role, I should say, is Weasel, the character he plays in The Phantom Menace. But when he returns as Wicket in episode 9, he'll have played 2 characters in 2 films. The character he plays in this and Phantom Menace, Weasel. It's weird.
What did you call him?
Weasel.
Oh.
The character Weasel. It's the one in the Phantom Menace when it cuts that shot of Jabba and like he's there like cheering next to him in the pod races or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason for this, they're like, and they have said like behind the scenes and stuff, they're like, oh, the whole backstory is like once the Empire takes over, like everything just kind of goes for shit for him and whatever else. So he joins the Ethan's Nest and whatever. So, and my last note I had was epilogue scene with Han and Lando is the closest they are to Han and Lando in episode 5, which I think I mentioned in the original podcast as well. But I definitely feel like that last scene with them coming in and Han like embracing him and, you know, all this, the banter they have in this scene is when they finally reached like their potential full marks of finally being like Han and Lando.
They're frenemies, or, you know,
they're whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Rivals.
With
friendly
problems. Rivals with problems. Yeah. Yeah. So I still enjoy that epilogue scene. Like, yeah, like, makes me smile a bit when he pulls that one over Lando, and like Lando looks down and sees his cards gone. And I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. And then of course that is it. So the last thing for this episode, as with
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
It's interesting watching this now with L3, now that Phoebe Waller-Bridge has sort of blown up since the movie's come out.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So having seen her
Emmy award-winning now.
Emmy award-winning actress, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, seeing her play that role is amusing now that she's such a bigger thing.
She apparently also helped write some of the dialogue for this or whatever. Like
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially that scene where her and Qi'ra in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. That feels like something that would be
it's like
out of Fleabag.
You know, Lando's got a thing for me. Oh, of course, you know. Does that work? It works.
Yeah.
That's quite funny.
Definitely sounds like it was.
So where are we going to rank this one? Of course, if you don't know so far, all 3 of us has the exact same rankings so far, which is we've got episode 2, episode 1, and then episode 3. And we'll see where Solo shakes some things up now. Ash.
I would say Solo is the best one so far.
So you're putting it at place number 7. Kieran.
I would put Solo in place number 8 and move Revenge of the Sith up to 7.
Ooh. We've finally got some plays happening. We're finally not all the same.
Not all the same.
Things are happening.
And I'm assuming you're going to do the same thing, Dylan.
I may shock. And
You're
Horizon.
no.
Whoa.
You're not. I'm only reacting because we can see what Dylan's highlighting in the table we have on our notes. But
I may shock. I'm going to move episode 3 from 8th to 7th. Right. So we'll start there.
But what goes?
I'm going to move the Phantom Menace from 9th to 8th.
No.
And I'm going to put Solo at 9th.
You're putting the movie that has This Is Pod Racing over this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't.
Sorry.
Oof.
The ranking wars begun. They have.
Oh God!
Oh, Yoda's back on the show, everyone. Turning up for the rankings.
I just feel good now looking at this whole system because those 3 other episodes. It's like, yeah, same. And
Solo comes in and just fucks it. Solo's just like, I'm just gonna ruin it all.
Things are finally spicing up in here for once. Okay, so that'll be it for this week's episode of Alderaan Explosion. Next week, we will be discussing the final 4 episodes of Star Wars Rebels. We won't be ranking them. We're not going to put those into our table because they are not movies. They are TV episodes of Rebels. But we will be discussing them. So watch all 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels before next week's season. All of the seasons. Just watch all of the episodes and you'll be up to date. Or otherwise, just watch those 4 episodes. If you've seen them before, even if you haven't, or if you don't care about them, I'm going to do my best next week to kind of give a brief overview of what we're talking about if you don't want to watch them, because I think it'll make for some interesting discussions. So whatever you want to do. Please make sure to share the show on social media and tag @ExplosionPod if you're enjoying it. Tell your friends and rate it on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Alderaan Explosion is a Darth production of ExplosionNetwork.com, which is where you can also find what you want to watch, our fortnightly movie and TV podcast. You can follow me on Twitter @VivaDil. You can follow Ash on Twitter @AshleyHobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. And you can follow Kieran on Twitter @YaBoyRingo. May the force be with you, always.